Hello everybody and welcome back to another Huxley Wins video, and today we're going to be looking at a Boros Aggro deck with a little bit of a twist. It's all based around this card, Cavalcade of Calamity. So whenever a creature you control with power 1 or less attacks, Cavalcade of Calamity deals 1 damage to the player or planeswalker that creature is attacking. Now it's my favourite card in Allegiance, and until now I haven't really thought of a way I could use it, and I was just sat the other day thinking, I play a lot of aggro decks, I play a lot of White Weenie, and occasionally throw my hands up, yes, I have been known to dive into red deck wins decks and just mono red aggro decks. So a little bit of thinking about, and we came up with this. I mean, I've seen a deck which uses Cavalcade of Calamity, but not quite in this way. It was used in a walls based deck so that you could attack early, and it just didn't really fit right for me. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go through and have a look at why cards are in the deck, and I'd love to hear suggestions and things I might want to swap in and swap out. But let's get straight into it, and we'll start at the top and work our way down. Now, Haazda Marshal, we're going to be playing lots of creatures, and this card gives us more creatures when we attack with lots of creatures. This sort of comes into the key mindset of this deck. This deck always really wants to be attacking. Once you've got Cavalcade down on the field, it doesn't matter whether you're running into, you're going to be losing them, or if you're going to be running into some big heavy blockers. As long as you're not going to get yourself killed on the next turn by doing it, go straight in for the attack. It doesn't matter if you guys die, because we're going to be vomiting them out at such a rate. There's no problem with that. So Haazda Marshal was a complete no-brainer in this deck. Straight in. We've got some Healer's Hawks in there. It flies and it's got lifelink. Lifelink is really important in the current meta, especially in best of one. So many mono red decks everywhere, just burning you down, burning you down. Lifelink is a savior in that one, and the amount of times I see it eat a shock, it's beautiful. And obviously, if they're burning your creatures, they're not burning your face. That's the way to think about it. Hunted Witness in there too. It's a fairly straightforward pick. I wouldn't build a White Weenie deck without it. It puts off your opponent's attacking, because when it dies, just come straight back out there with another 1/1 with lifelink. Can't go wrong with that. Fanatical Firebrand and Tin Street Dodger. They're both in there mainly because they're 1/1 creatures. They cost 1 mana and they've got haste, so you can drop them, straight attack with them. Boom. The sacrifice on Fanatical Firebrand is nice just in and of itself. We don't really use the red mana ability on Tin Street Dodger too much, but it's there if you need it, if something comes up. Then we move on to Pride of Conquerors. Now this is a nice little anthem ability. This is really handy because as long as you play it, make sure you play it in the damage step, because if you play it at any point before then, it won't trigger Cavalcade of Calamity. It's really, really handy. We get to ascend, we get the City's Blessing really quickly with this deck, so Pride of Conquerors is an absolute winner in there, just for tipping over the top. In the gameplay video I'm going to show you shortly, we use that to get them down into lethal range really quickly. I think it's turn 3, turn 4, possibly turn 4. Then we move on to Cavalcade of Calamity. Obviously we discussed this card. This is the bread and butter, the center of the deck. Not much more to say other than I love this card, and that's why this deck exists. Goblin Instigator. It gives you 2 1/1s for 2. I mean, it helps with Ascend for Pride of Conquerors. And it's, like I say, it's just more 1/1s for 1. And so we can get double trigger from a single card. Double the profit on that one. And we move on to this deck's sort of card draw engine. But the level 3 of this saga is so beautiful. You want to be saving this for sort of mid-game if you get there, this one. Try and play out your hand. Drop your Flame of Keld. It refills your hand on the next turn. Well, refills. You'll have 3 cards on the next turn. But when turn 3, if a red source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player this turn, it deals that much damage plus 2 to that permanent or player instead. So what that means is every Cavalcade of Calamity trigger, so let's say you attack with 4 creatures, Cavalcade of Calamity triggers 4 times, and for each of those triggers it deals an extra 2 damage. So instead of doing 4 damage, it's gonna do 12. It's so nice when that happens. Legion Warboss, I was a bit on the fence with on this one, because its mentor effect, I do believe, is not a choice. You've got to mentor when you attack with it. It does say there, whenever this creature attacks, put a 1/1 counter. It's not a you may put a 1/1 counter on. So what that does is that moves our other creatures out of the range of triggering Cavalcade of Calamity. So what we just use that for is to vomit every turn, just vomit a 1/1 onto the field. That's why I'm only running 2 of them. Then we've got Light at the Stage, because it's such a fantastic card. We're going to be triggering Spectacle all the time and exiling the top 2 cards of our deck. It's just free draw. We can normally play the things we draw that turn, and most definitely on the next turn, as long as we don't draw double lands. Try and Light up the Stage before you've played your land for the turn, because that way if you do draw double lands, you still drop a land that turn and your next turn as well. Then we get onto the mana base. It's fairly straightforward. We've got Shock and Check lands, 4 of each, 5 plains and 7 mountains. So now, the idea of this deck is obviously fairly straightforward. What we want to do is vomit as much onto the field as we can and go face. It's fairly mindless. It's a great deck to fire up if you've had a long day and you just want to get in there, have a bit of fun, play some Magic without thinking too hard. You don't fancy a control deck, you don't fancy playing Teferi for the 17,000th time that week. Just go straight in with a little bit of a calamitous advance and get to it. We're going to take a look at a little bit of gameplay. It's a very short game. And after that, we'll do it now. So this deck has some really nasty counters, as you may have noticed. Anything with board clear does horrible things to us. Settle the Wreckage, not good. Cleansing Nova, not good. Anything. I had a game with this earlier, and I wasn't looking at my opponent's mana base. I was playing against Golgari, and I decided I was going to wait a turn so that I could get my trigger on Flame of Keld and kill them in the 1 turn instead of chunking them and losing a bunch of my creatures, because their field was full as well. I thought I'll wait for the Flame of Keld and go for the lethal. Flip round to them, they dropped their 6th mana, straight in with the Finality, bump, cleared the board, and that was it for me. I had nothing in my hand. It was game over, it was GG. So you've got to be really careful of any deck with board wipes. If you see a board wipe, you're going to have to play a little bit more conservatively, but you've got to just to recognise and understand that you are, in that matchup, probably not going to win against a heavy control deck with lots of board clears. So that's pretty much it. Everything else we can race, really. Heavy life gain it doesn't do well against, because this deck does lose tempo later on, but it's an aggro deck. It's all about getting in there and winning quick, turn 4, turn 5, so they don't even know what to hit them. But we'll leave that there and we'll take a look at some gameplay. Okay, so here we're looking at a typical turn 1 play. I've dropped Fanatical Firebrand. They probably think they're playing against some sort of mono red deck here at the moment. They've gone for sort of straight white weenie starting play, Legion's Landing. I just want to go wide as much as possible. I don't want to give them an opportunity to flip that Legion's Landing, so I go straight in with an attack with the Fanatical Firebrand here, which they block, which is okay. Yeah, they're back up to 20 health. It's 6 and 2 3s, eye for an eye kind of thing. Just waiting for their play, and no, they drop a red mana here, so they're playing some form of Boros, which doesn't really change my game plan because they're probably going to be playing similar sort of thing to me. I nearly drop a mountain there, but I changed my mind. Drop the plains I've just picked up. I have a terrible habit of just tunneling on whatever mana I've got in my hand, and then ignoring the lands I draw. So luckily I catch myself there and I stop it. And they drop the Swiftblade Vindicator. Great card. I go in for the full board clear here. I just think I've got maybe 1 turn to a Deafening Clarion if they're running it. I'm going to bait them with the Pride of Conquerors. I've just clicked to send there. So I got really lucky, and bang, 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 bang. Oh, it's so beautiful. Get straight through. And then their next turn, they're probably floundering a little bit here, and I'm thinking I need to draw a Cavalcade of Calamity right now. It's the win condition of this deck, and one of those would be beautiful. Their mana screwed completely, to the point where they desperately drop a Legion's Landing just to get something on the field. And there we go with the top deck Cavalcade. Just watch this, the most beautiful 6 creatures there, all 1 attack. Bang, 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 bang. Look at those triggers go. Ugh. Absolute filth. They try and recover with the 1 health. Bang, bang, bang. No, not happening. And there you go. That is the way I want this deck to work. Okay, so that is our look at the Boros deck. Calamitous Advance. If you've got any comments or suggestions, please make them below. It really does help the video getting some engagement in there. Not to shill myself, but if you could please like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video. If you didn't enjoy the video, hit that dislike button, but please let me know why, see what I can change things up. Thank you very much for watching as always, and I'll catch you in the next video.